Hello and welcome to the Detective Case
and Detective Close podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Aaron Shirley.
And I'm Brian Townsend.
On today's topic, we're going to be talking something that affects both citizens and law enforcement. Law enforcement can be victim to this as well as, just your average everyday citizen. And we're going to talk about surveillance and counter surveillance. Usually when you think of surveillance, you're thinking of, law enforcement maybe surveilling like a criminal organization or, surveilling like drug dealers in your neighborhood. But today we're going to be opening up to like a much wider scope, and that is in the world of TSCM, because in the government, we love our acronyms for everything. So I'll let our guest go and introduce himself and kind of talk about his background and what he's got going on in the world of surveillance these days.
Thanks for having me today. Keith Bowman, Mocan Group out of Kansas City. Background is basically electronics. Got an EP background as well. But on the EP side, I was always the techie guy. So running surveillance or comms, so on and so forth. So what we're here today to talk about is Technical Surveillance Countermeasures, TSCM.
All right.
So when people hear surveillance, like Aaron said, that's typically, law enforcement investigation.
Correct.
We're talking an entirely different type of surveillance.
Counter surveillance.
Okay.
Counter surveillance.
So what would be an example of that?
Well, definition of TSCM or Technical Surveillance Countermeasures, and some people call it Technical Security Countermeasures, but the true definition or the true acronym is Technical Surveillance, is looking for and identifying anything that's transmitting, recording your private conversations, your private movements, and after we identify those, eliminating those threats.
Well, how common is that? Are we seeing more and more of that with the technology?
We are. The internet, being able to buy devices to track your boyfriend or girlfriend online for less than $100 on eBay, Alibaba, Amazon is prolific. I mean, just go out and do a search for spy camera and you'll find hundreds of listings, and then look to see how many has been sold by that individual. Somebody's using these devices. Oh. So what we do is we go out and we sweep a room, a car, and we look for those types of devices. There's really 4 areas that we kind of divide TSCM into. In those 4 areas really is area 1 would be devices that are on the market that weren't designed to be spying devices, but are used by bad guys as spying devices. Mm-hmm. The baby monitor is probably the number one example of that. It's been around forever, usually not encrypted. Some of the newer ones are encrypted. But very easy for the neighbor with a scanner to listen in what's going on in your house. And microphones are phenomenal in those devices. But they were never designed as spying devices. The second area is these types of devices. You can go online and buy, very inexpensive. Most of these products come out of China. And for less than $100, you can record video, you can record audio, things of that nature. And they're sold as true spying devices. Even though that's illegal in the United States, they're still sold online as those types of devices. Third area would be primarily law enforcement grade type devices. And the fourth area would be state-run, sponsored type devices from China and things of that nature. But that area number 2 is where we spend most of our time.
We've come a long way. I mean, I remember 80s, 90s, early 2000, when we would have reports in law enforcement of stalking or harassment or a boyfriend-girlfriend situation or an ex-spouse. It was easy to know, right? Because it was pretty much like, I know he's following me, right? I can see the person who's actually watching me or following me, right? To some degree.
Today, you can do it with a $129 device and $20 a month. Right straight to your cell phone.
So maybe we can break down some of these categories and talk a little bit more about them, right? All right. So category 1 was
baby monitors.
Okay. So taking an existing device and using it for what its non-intended purpose.
Right.
So like you said, monitoring a baby device.
There's another device on the market today that's being used called a PERS unit. I forget what PERS stands for, but it's basically a device that elderly folks use. I had them on my parents' house. You put them in the home. I had the ability to call into that device over the cell phone and listen to room audio. Those devices, we see reports are being used in a bad way. But other devices, your home robot vacuum cleaner, of all things. It has a camera in it, has a microphone in it, It's been hacked multiple times. The industry, if you go do a Google search on it, you'll find multiple articles about how they've been hacked, and it's got a map of your home.
How hard is it to compromise these devices if you don't have a ton of tech experience?
To compromise those types of devices takes a little bit of doing.
Okay,
But to go online and be able to buy these devices already
done for you.
done for you
Yeah,
is very inexpensive.
and that would be a level 2 where you're basically shopping for counter surveillance or a spy type.
Not counter surveillance, actually
counter-
surveillance.
Okay,
Actually,
yeah, and there is
surveillance.
okay, good.
Yeah. We've got a whole line of equipment that we can show on camera later that we use to go find those types of devices. But yeah, you're right. That kind of second level is devices that are already made to do surveillance,
Not-
audio or video
I
or
think
tracking.
in
Yeah.
category 1, like I think there's a false sense of security from like citizens and your average day people, right? And not only that, but just like you would never even imagine somebody would use something for an evil purpose, right?
Right.
Like you said, like a baby monitor. And I think what you don't realize is how is that baby monitor sending the image from the room to your phone? It's like, well, everything's a signal, right? So
Right.
like how easy is it for someone to capture that signal or hack into that signal? Now they see what you see, right?
Right. And if it's not encrypted, it's very, very easy. And if it is encrypted, what level of encryption? So the more money you spend, the better it is.
Right.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But
So
the very inexpensive ones, and we checked into this just a few months ago. The very inexpensive ones we found weren't.
So back in the day, I'll date myself, right? Like when we would buy things, we'd go to Babies R Us and Toys R Us, which no longer a thing.
No longer.
But you get an off the shelf baby monitor, right?
Right.
So like, is it typically encrypted or
The newer ones today, for the most part, if you're buying from a credible source, are encrypted.
okay?
So they're a little bit more difficult to use those as spying devices. But if it's wireless, possibility is always there. That's just you have to understand if it's wireless, you can compromise it.
Will they advertise it in a way of we've made this more secure? We've made this
They'll advertise encryption.
the better companies out there. The more
they'll advertise encryption.
okay, interesting.
Is that something that like you can change or make better? Aftermarket. Like I buy a baby monitor. Can I make it
I'm not
better or safer?
I'm not seeing anybody doing that. Really, 'cause those are now riding on your home Wi-Fi networks. How secure is your home Wi-Fi network? So to answer your question is yes, you can beef up your home network, but if that network is that open, then you've got other issues as well.
I think like if we jump to category 2,
Endless.
fun
We don't have
category,
enough
right?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to put a little bit of information out there just to kind of educate people, I guess, right? Not be experts in anything. But like,
No.
I'm thinking category 2. I'm like, man, there's so many times where it's like, well, if I bought it on the internet, then how can it be illegal, right? Again, dating myself back in the day. Well, if I can go to, an auto parts store and buy window tint, how come I can't have window tint on my car, right? Just because you can buy it doesn't mean
It's its purpose, right?
it's its purpose
Yeah,
or it's legal to use.
Apple AirTags,
Yeah.
legal to use.
It's what, $30 now, right? Or probably cheaper now.
$25, $30.
Yeah.
It wasn't designed to be a spying device or a tracking device, but this is very hackable. I can go inside and disable the speaker on it. So that feature of it making a noise when it's following me can go away pretty easily. It's perfectly legal to use, and majority of the time is used legally.
Maybe we spend a couple minutes specifically on that though, because of all the things that are recognizable to society and especially to our younger generation. Like probably everybody's using those, right, and familiar with them, right?
Right.
So maybe we can just kind of talk about that for a minute. What their what their intended purpose is, and then how easy would it be
Well,
for
the
someone to
intended
use it
purpose
for
is to
a
find
bad
your-
purpose, right?
For find your keys when
Yeah.
you lose them.
Or
Okay.
luggage
Or
or
luggage.
Luggage. On my luggage, when I ship it, 100% of the time I get on the airplane, I know where my bag is at. It's like I'll go on my phone app and know where it's at. It's not just Apple. There's Tiles. They make these devices at credit card size, so you can actually put this in your wallet and never lose your wallet. You can always use your phone to find your wallet. But these are being used by not just criminals, hard criminals, but teenagers to track their girlfriend. We're seeing a lot of times these are being planted, and we've heard stories of being put in patrol cars. So they know where the patrol car is at in town, especially in small agencies. But lots of nefarious things. We were on a sweep not too long ago where there was one embedded in a Tesla, and it was embedded so far in the headliner because the way it's shaped, you can stick it in the headliner and it falls back in there. We finally told them they had to take it to the dealership to remove it. I could tell them it's there, but I wasn't able to tear the car apart to find it.
I think about how easy it would be to drop it in the HVAC, like an event, or like even like to pry open the side panel of the door and just kind of like just pop it in there, right? Because it's so
And the
slim.
battery life is a year. Now, only works in heavily populated metropolitan areas. It's not going to work very well out in the country. But no, Apple and Google have developed the biggest surveillance network in the world of all time based on these devices.
For good purposes, right?
For
Like,
good
I don't want to lose
purposes.
my stuff.
That's right.
But so how would somebody know that somebody was using that like for a nefarious purpose?
So,
Short of finding it, right? Like,
well, physical search is one way, but these are hard to find. Physical search, GPSs are much easier to find with physical search. Sometimes interchangeably used for the same purpose as tracking a vehicle, per se. But there are free applications that you can run on your iPhone and your Google device that will find these devices. One of them is called AirGuard. It's a free download. I love it. I use it every day.
Yeah.
You use it also. So a lot of our clients, and when we're done with the sweep, if we do or don't find anything, we encourage them or their executive protection team to download AirGuard or another program similar to it, and just run it on a regular basis. Have it running on your phone in the background. It will tell you how many devices are close, and you can actually go into a mode and start tracking those devices as well. I didn't do this before I sat down here today. It's already running on my phone because I always have it running. These devices probably aren't going to show up because the batteries are probably dead in them. But I'm seeing 2 tiles, which are these types of devices. Same thing.
and does it give you like a proximity, like it might be your
It gives
neighbor's
you-
house?
It gives you
or-
approximate signal strength.
Okay.
So with some practice, it shows me an AirTag here as well. With some practice, it's got a screen where I can, 54%. As closer I get to it, it's going to go to 100%. Further I get away, it's going to go to 0%. So it's very user friendly, fantastic program, and it keeps track of how many times it's been around you. So I've got one at my shop that belongs to someone else, and it told me this morning when I was at the shop that it had been around it 47 times.
It can distinguish the same
The same now
device. Yeah.
on the tiles. It can on the AirTags, not necessarily. Apple's built security into where these things will roll their MAC address
Yeah.
and become a different device every 24 or 48 hours. So you got to be careful of that.
One of the things you said is, I know that Apple makes those as an alarming sound,
Yes.
but people can hack or whatever,
Yes.
they'll
Very easily
compromise. They can
disable that.
just say, okay. But the part where if Aaron would have put it in my backpack and I already have one in my backpack, and
Right.
it'll usually Apple says, hey, there's a unassigned, or I forget the terminology.
So Apple will
Not
tell
that you
you
would do that, but
I know where you're at.
Tell you that there's one following it.
yeah. Can you disable that? That's my question. Or is that
Yes and no.
okay? A little bit more technical then.
It is a little bit more technical. It's the actual disable it. It's very difficult to do. But if this belongs to you and he is around you on a regular basis, this says, "Oh, my partner is with me."
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you. Don't need to. Otherwise, if your wife had one in her purse,
It's always going to go
it's
off.
always going to be going off. So now, when you guys separate and are away from each other, you go out of town for 2 or 3 days, then it may come up and say, "Hey, there's a tag that doesn't belong to you," because it knows it belongs to you because it's tied to your phone and it knows it's your phone, right? So, yes and no, like everything else in technology.
That's why you have to use additional factors, right? Like the app there, the free app, where
Right.
you can go ahead and detect these devices near you, and you
Right.
can take whatever reaction or precaution you need to.
Right. And there's accessories sold for these online. We've got one that you take this apart and you stick it in the accessory. It's a 10-year battery life.
Wow.
So you take that, and we find those hidden, behind a radio in a car, without the app or other pieces of gear that we use. That thing is there for 10 years.
That is incredible because, like I said, most of these work about a year
A year
from the
Year
product
average battery life. Yeah.
All right, other tracking devices.
This is all level 2.
So GPS.
We're still in level 2.
Yeah, we're still level 2. GPS trackers. There's a myriad of them on the market. The good thing, if you want to talk about pros and cons from the bad guy standpoint, for the good guy standpoint, batteries don't last very long. So these devices are very configurable. So when you buy it, you can say, hey, I want this thing to tell me where it's at only when it moves. So if your car is parked in your parking lot for 2 weeks, you never get a signal from it.
Saves the battery.
Saves the battery. So as soon as you move, it sends a signal saying, hey, I'm moving. While it's moving, you can say, hey, just tell me where you're at every minute or every 2 minutes or every 10 minutes or every half hour. This really saves the battery. So if you stretch out and play with those settings, you can get a month and a half, 2 months out of these things. Physical search is how you find these. We've got very expensive spectrum analyzers that we look for these devices. The problem is most of these transmit back to you via cell phone. So it's buried in all the other cell phone traffic in that car. The signal from this is 100 milliseconds. So it's just a blurb every 1 minute or 2 minutes. I'm not going to catch that on my expensive gear.
And there's no app that's going to be able to.
There's no app that's going to, on your phone, it's going to be able to find it. Okay. So we have found one of these this year in one of our sweeps, and it was found with physical search for 2 reasons. One, we did a physical search first, and number 2, the battery was dead on. So it wasn't transmitting at the time of our search. Very difficult to find. It's nice that they're bigger, so easier to see this than it is this. You're not going to hide this in a headliner of a car, whereas something like this you can. Very difficult to find. So physical search is really very inexpensive. Couple $100 and $15, $20 a month.
$15, $20 a month is going to be for your self-service. So you can speak to a cell phone
for the cell service, right?
Okay.
So if I had this on my vehicle, I could track my own via cell phone, and the mapping and stuff on my phone.
Look how small that is still. I mean, I know, again, not as small as, like the Tile or the Apple Tag. Still pretty, in a car. Wow.
And the other interesting thing on both of these, this is a very popular one on the internet, is they both have these panic buttons on. So again, in the executive protection world, it's kind of nice to give your executive or your principal one of these and say, hey, when you're on stage, you see something that we didn't see, push the button. And now I'm getting, because I own this, I'm getting a message to my phone that my principal has got a concern of some type. So again, there's pros and cons, good and bad. This is a very dangerous one. I actually put a notice to law enforcement out on this. Sorry, I don't have this taken apart. This is a full GPS tracker disguised as an automobile relay. And the scary part of this particular one is through the app that you connect to it with, you can actually use it as a relay. So if you it's going to take time with the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
The bad guy's going to have time. But you could tie it to the fuel pump, something like that. But you buy this on these came right off Amazon for little or no money. Very scary devices.
So now you're at the mechanics shop, and he or she sees something like this. They obviously know it's a problem. But when they see that, it looks like a relay. They're like
very familiar with the vehicle.
Yeah,
they may think it's part of the stereo system or two-way radio system or whatever that's been put in the car. Yeah, that on the firewall is very difficult to find. And what we do with our sweeps is we will take a car that's cold, hasn't been started, been sitting all night, and we'll do a engine compartment thermal scan. This will show up because it's power all the time. As soon as you power that car on, as soon as you turn that car on, every relay in it is energized, and now they all look the same. They all look thermal. They all look the same.
And we kind of joked about this morning, but like, being able to disable any of these things, not a thing short of finding it or the battery running out.
Short of the battery running out, there's only legally that you can disable. Jamming is illegal in the United States, obviously, for obvious reasons. I got a small jammer over there. I can show you what one looks like if you want to look like it. Bad guys are using, but they are illegal, absolutely illegal in the United States. That's the only way you're going to disable these devices.
So signal jamming, I could probably buy one on the internet right now, I guess.
Unfortunately.
Like everything else, I could buy on the internet.
Unfortunately, you can't.
To his question, on Amazon, eBay, or are you talking about more like dark web or criminal type?
Not dark web. I don't know that, not on Amazon, eBay maybe.
Maybe a little harder to
just
search.
Do a Google search for blah, and you're going to find it.
Yeah. And what would something like that cost someone?
Jammer?
Yeah.
$800 to $1,000.
And how about this device here, though?
I don't remember right offhand, but I'm thinking like $150.
Okay, but not $1,000.
No.
So something affordable. And then is there a monthly service to that?
All
affordable.
Yes.
And then is there a monthly service to this as well? So it's the same thing where it's emitting a cellular signal.
And I would argue that this, in our lab, this actually worked better than these because the antenna placements and how big the stuff is. It's a small package, but it's very well built.
It's probably more of like a law enforcement question, though. When you think about when we would find these devices for criminal investigation or criminal cases, these companies that you're paying these monitoring fees to,
right?
Are they U.S. based, non-U.S. based?
We have found most of them to be U.S. based, and we found that most of them do have policies. Obviously, that with a search warrant, you'll be able to recover whose credit card is tied to this. A simple case, maybe you don't want to go that far, but if it's a true criminal case, then you can find out who these belong to. It's going to take a little time, but you can find out.
So law enforcement gets a call. They go to a residence. Caller found one of these on their vehicle. We might be able to track the cell service. Let's say it's AT&T, T-Mobile, and then we'll just work the investigation from there. We'll contact them.
Then you contact the manufacturer of the actual device itself and get the paperwork started.
Yeah.
Recover that data. Same way with AirTags. There is a mechanism for law enforcement with AirTags with Apple to find out who this belongs to. Now, I will also tell you that if this belonged to you and I found on my vehicle, I can take the actual Apple app and it will tell me the last 4 digits of who this belongs to most of the time, not always. There's a lot of caveats here. Who owns it? When's the last time it was close to that person? Things of that nature. But anyway, it will give you the last 4 digits of who owns it. So in other words, if I know the person and they're in my contact list.
Yeah, that might be enough to identify, like you said, an ex-boyfriend or
absolutely,
or a disgruntled employee or whoever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Most stalkers know who's stalking them, right?
Yeah. Right.
So,
well, if that stuff's not scary enough, we have other devices here that you wouldn't even know what they are, right? They're common devices, but what is the internal components?
And these have been around forever, right? Matter of fact, this one's a very old one. It's an old composite, not even digital, but the old smoke detector camera and microphone. Everybody talks about cameras, but microphones are very prominent devices that we see show up, and audio is different, depends on what state you're in.
Yeah.
What the legalities are recording audio. But again, all these devices, smoke detector, this was actually, I can't remember the case right now, but this is actually the device, not the device, but the same device that was used in a very prominent online case of I think it was a locker room for a major gym, if I remember. Anyway, there's a camera. Now, this is a drop device, though. I have to come back to this device and retrieve a card out of it.
Like an SD card or something?
Okay. So what we saw happening with this is the bad guys would buy 2 of them and unsnap one, snap the other one on, literally.
It's good planning.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you can literally hang your coat up, snap one, snap the other one off, and no one even knows what you're doing. So a very dangerous device, very good video. Who doesn't have a USB hub on their desk? Camera built into this device. This one's it's very inexpensive, a little bit more, and I don't have the cables here, right? There's no battery on here, there's no power source, but it's still a very small device. The camera is actually embedded in the head of the screw. Very old device. This has been out on the market for probably 10 plus years.
This is very George Orwellian 1984 on steroids.
It is. We've been sitting here. Did you notice the pen on the desk recording audio the whole time? Now, some of these pens will record 60, 80 hours of audio. Again, retrieving device. It's not transmitting. We call these drop devices. But, very common.
It's insane, too, again, because, we've been around, a few years. To think about, when we're thinking about, the amount of data and storage, back in the day, the first time I ever heard of terabyte, I was like, wow, how could you ever fill a terabyte?
Right. A video is the higher resolution you go, the more data you're going to use and take and need. But SD cards, I mean, this particular one, yeah, SD card right here.
But now you're in a gym or a locker room, or
Yep,
makes you look at things a little differently.
absolutely.
And we're finding more and more of this stuff.
And the paranoia, I mean, it's like you wouldn't find these things, right? Unless you were extremely paranoid and be looking for them all the time, right? Like
These are common devices, and whoever pays attention to the smoke detector. So what do you look for when you go in a hotel room? Is there more than one smoke detector in a room? Typically, if there's a spying device, there's more than one, because the bad guy's not going to take out the real one.
yeah.
Is it placed directly over the bed? As a security installer, we never put a smoke detector directly over the bed. So there's common sense things to talk about and think about when you go into a hotel room.
I feel like the most common thing when you hear about, especially cases, you hear like news reports like that, is it's the locker room, it's the changing room, it's the bathroom, right? So what to be
in a corporate environment,
yeah,
right?
What to be on the lookout like for that, right?
Right. And then the personal side would be Airbnbs, hotel rooms, your own home is, unless you got a spouse that's got a problem or whatever. Most of what we hear about and find would be hotel rooms and Airbnbs. Airbnbs are specifically a problem. I go rent an Airbnb. I've actually been in one Airbnb multiple times over 3 years, and the Wi-Fi password has never changed.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you take a device like this, I have permanent power. I put it in a room for convenience for you to charge your phone.
And it's a usable, workable device.
It's a workable
right?
device. It's got a camera. It's got a microphone in it. I have rented the Airbnb for a week. I can spend as long as I want to disguising this thing, plugging it in, connecting it to their internet service through their password they never change,
Yeah.
and have access to it from anywhere in the world, anytime I want, until that password changes. We really encourage Airbnbs to change passwords regularly after every client. They don't do it. It's too much trouble. It's not easy. It's very difficult to maintain and stay that organized.
What can the average consumer? I know you said like you go into a hotel room. Why are there two smoke detectors? Why is it over my bed? Obviously there's some things like that. I mean, some other tips, advice.
Get rid of your alarm clock. Who uses your alarm clock in a hotel room? No one. We use our phones for everything. So get rid of it. When we, again, going back to my EP side, when we, our private advanced team that goes in to get a room ready for a principal, we get rid of everything that's not necessary in the room. And alarm clocks is the first thing to go. Plants, pictures, anything that's not necessary, get rid of it. Now, if you're going to stay in a room yourself, whatever, it's not reasonable to do, just take the alarm clock out, throw it in the drawer and close the drawer and unplug it. So the other thing that bugs me on extended stay or hotels is the vents in the bathrooms. They have louvers, right?
Yeah.
The louvers go one way or the other way. Why do they always install them where they're pointing at the shower or pointing at the toilet? And all you got to do is turn those louvers around. It's interesting to see when I go into hotels, the hotels that are conscious of that, and the louvers are facing the wall. It gives me peace of mind that there's not a camera there looking through those louvers.
Again, we're a convenient society though, right? We like ease. We like to jump onto Wi-Fi. We like to just say yes to whatever the apps may be asking us.
Yep.
And we like the shower. We like the vents blowing the heat towards us in the shower, right?
And we'd like to expect that some creep's not putting putting something like that in a
exactly
women's locker room or wherever. But how much? I mean, you said under 500 is pretty normal.
Well, under 500, and a lot of the stuff's under 150. This is another big one. I think probably there's been a lot of people see these before, the cell phone chargers, but there's a camera here.
Yeah. You expect that just to be like an indicator light, right? Like it's, when I plug that in, I'm looking for like a green light or something, right?
We've got an AC outlet in our kit that I probably should have put out here as well. That it looks like it is a standard AC outlet, but it's got a camera built into it. So again, in the bathrooms, take a flashlight, look inside the outlet. Does it look legit? Is there anything in there or not? Yes or no? pretty easy to do. But you can't live in paranoia. You need to be aware of your environment.
Do we want to talk about or show some other examples of devices, or do we get to dip a toe into category 3 or 4? Or
No, really, there's not much to talk about on category 3 and 4. I often get the question, how many devices, or what do you find? You do sweeps all the time. Are you finding stuff?
Yeah.
And the answer is, well, yes, we find something on every sweep we do. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because when we go in and do a sweep, we have to identify everything that's emitting RF, radio frequency. So it's Wi-Fi access points. It's the remote control fan. It's the refrigerator that talks to your phone with Bluetooth. We do these, and we have to identify every signal in there. So what's nice about doing sweeps in the United States is everybody has to play by the rules. So that category 1, that device is designed and goes through certifications through the FCC and UL and things of that nature. So they can only transmit on certain frequencies. These devices can only transmit on certain frequencies for a couple of reasons. One, for them to work right with other devices that you want to. 2, within the United States, you have to follow some rules. At category 3, law enforcement, they still have to follow, at least state and local governments still have to follow the regulations. So again, we can find those devices with very expensive equipment. Make sure some of that if you want, pretty easily. At level 4, that's a whole new category, because that's a nation, that state that has unlimited budget, unlimited time, and they can do anything they want. They can transmit anywhere they want. They can do anything they want. It's much more difficult for us to find, but we have equipment to do it. I think what we could do is show some maybe devices, inexpensive devices that will aid in finding these types of devices, if you want to do that next.
okay, yeah, we can switch over and switch out the equipment and bring out some new stuff.
Cool.
So we have some more devices here, and we'll talk about detection as well, but another device that has a camera in it? Or?
Yeah, so we spoke about this a while ago, about another device that you might find, again, very inexpensive to buy off the internet. I think this was $350 or so. It's got an SD card in it, but it's also got Wi-Fi transmission in it. So it's recording 2 different things, audio and video, to the card, as well as to an app on the phone via Wi-Fi. But $350, I think, off the internet, if I remember right. But it's crazy.
Yeah.
It still works.
Yeah.
It's still an AC working, functioning outlet.
And how often would you go into your home and check for
Airbnb, a hotel room? Absolutely. The bathroom outlet that's right there at countertop level, where you've got a camera or something plugged into it, or a camera built right in. Absolutely. I take my flashlight and look to see if I see a camera in there. Absolutely. So some of the other things we have here is detection devices.
I'm sorry, these are detection devices that the average Joe can get online and buy?
You can.
I know you have more
You can.
sophisticated and more expensive toys, but this is the cheaper toys that
we do. You got to be careful with a lot of these devices, because they're sold as find a camera in your Airbnb, find this, that, and the other. And that's fine if you're out in the middle of the country, field, with nothing, with no big cell phone towers around, no big AM, FM radio station around, because these devices are small. They're very inexpensive. They do work, but they work in a controlled environment, if that's a good way of saying it. So we have done several sweeps where we get phone calls from folks that say, hey, I know there's a transmitter in my car. I bought this device off the internet, and every time I put it up here, it goes off. There's got to be something there. And we go out with our very expensive equipment and say, sorry, there's nothing there. That is a reflection off of a radio tower that might be 25 miles away. So you have to be very careful. None of these devices are perfect, and they have to be used with the intent of a lot of false alarms, but they are still tools.
Yeah. And I'm sure you get what you pay for too, right?
You do
like you said, there's a difference between a $50 or $100 detection tool and a several $1,000 piece of sophisticated equipment.
So we talk about hidden cameras. We talk about microphones. Microphones are tied to transmitters. All these things get hot. Okay. You plug a light bulb in, light bulb gets hot because it's dissipating current or heat through that bulb. This, if I plug this in, maybe we actually can do that. We can plug that in and show that. But when you plug that in, after it's plugged in for 2 or 3 minutes, it's going to be very hot. So one of the things we really encourage, very inexpensive, and this was bought on Amazon, I believe, for $120. It's a thermal camera. Very inexpensive. Go in your pocket. Downside is the battery only lasts about an hour or so, but it actually is a really good thermal camera. And again, if you're sweeping or looking for devices in your home, Airbnb and things like that, you're going to want to get fairly close for this thing to show heat coming from this outlet. But this outlet should not have heat coming from it at all with nothing plugged into it. If it's hot, there's something not right about it. So thermal is by far my number one tool when somebody says, how do I find something? If they're concerned about using a spectrum analyzer or something to hear the RF or CDRF, let's look for the heat of that device.
I think that makes the most sense, right? Because if I'm looking for signals, we're in a technology age. Everything's throwing a signal off.
Well, and where's the
Right.
signal at? 0 to, I mean, we go clock to 24 gigahertz.
Yeah.
And that's a huge, huge band to look from. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
USB cables is another, and this actually is a very, talk about scary devices. This is a very scary device. It's a functioning USB cable, but it's a full-fledged computer. So it's got a Wi-Fi hotspot built into it. If this gets plugged into your machine, the bad guy has the ability to run programs on this. So with a hotspot, Wi-Fi hotspot built into it, I can sit in the parking lot, capture all your keystrokes. I can interject programs to run on your machine and affect your computer. I can take full control of your computer with this cable. Again, fairly inexpensive online, a little bit more expensive than some of this stuff. It's a couple $100. But we see these showing up in CEO offices all the time. This is a threat that needs to be looked for on the CEO side specifically. And the question is, how do you find this? How do I, as a good guy, look for this and find it? Because physically, you cannot tell the difference. Thermal. This thermal detector will show, because this gets hot. It's very small. It's got a full computer in it. They had to compromise to get things small, so it runs very hot. There's other devices on the market you can buy to look for current draw, but I would prefer thermal.
So if you give that to somebody and I plug this into my computer, now you can install, like I said, keyloggers or whatever you want to compromise my system. Simple as it's just a cord.
Do you have to, as a bad guy, would you have to know your target then? Because I'm thinking I could just drop these cords all over the place, and if someone finds a cord, like, ooh, free charging cable.
Exactly. and that's the hack. Drop them next to the CEO's car, drop them in the hallway, walk in the office. And all I'm trying to do is get on your network. Right, at that point. So it can be targeted, or it could be random. It could phone home saying, hey, I'm plugged in. What do you want to do? Go play, go look, see what's on that machine, see what's on that network. We talked about Bluetooth trackers. This is a device sold by a company out of New York called the Blue Sleuth, and it does a pretty good job of finding air tags, tiles. We've got that free app we talked about. But what if you're looking for other Bluetooth devices that's not an AirTag, headphones, a microphone that may be Bluetooth? This will find that device. Fairly inexpensive, I think $300 or $400. But you can see here it's searching, scanning, and tells me that there's
so it's looking for
3 devices so far that it's found, and what percentage it thinks, how close we are to it. So again, now it's hot potato, cold potato. You just go until the signal gets stronger.
Yeah.
And you at some point in time when you get close enough, though, you have to go to physical search. Everything comes back to physical search, no matter what technology you're using. So I've got a little bug here, microphone audio transmitter. This one's happens to be at about 800 megahertz. And we see a lot of these types of devices on the market. This is sold as a find hidden cameras and hidden transmitters, typically, and they show them in Airbnbs, things of that nature. And again, they work, but you have to be careful. It's going to give you a lot of false alarms as well. But if I take this audio bug, if you can see it on camera or not, and as I get closer, this LED gets stronger, so that if I'm looking for that, and this is hidden in a plant or something like that, I would sweep and oh, I've got something there. Goes a physical search at that point. So the other thing that these devices have is a camera lens finder. I get to come on.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm looking for a camera lens, I've got a little eyepiece here. And I can look through here and I can very distinctly see a reflection off of that camera lens. Okay. You can do the same thing with a flashlight. Again, a very inexpensive device. We've got a device made in England. It's $3,000 that we use to do the same thing. This, you have to be fairly close. Again, my expensive one, we have to pretty much be standing. We can stand anywhere in the room and find that device. So there are some devices on the market with a little bit of training and some playing. You can find these devices. It all comes back to physical search, though.
Yeah.
But the number one device I would recommend is thermal.
Like you said, inexpensive, available online, pretty reliable for the most
Not a lot of
part.
training to learn how to use it. Doesn't door.
We have a lot of Midwest people who watch this. So is that going to be good for deer hunting too?
Not that far away. Not that far away. So, the problem is these are designed to work up close. So, anything outside of 10 or 15 feet, I would be leery. The bushes are going to be the same color as the deer.
So those suspicious fire alarms or smoke alarms, the outlets, especially the counter high, like bathrooms, things like that. Definitely, it's going to emit that heat signal
Right.
that we're looking for.
Right.
And
Yep.
then obviously there's other. You showed them all, but this is a multiple. We're looking not only for the the frequency, but also potential to
Camera lens.
identify camera lens.
Right.
And I'm curious, do the sites that sell the level 2 items also sell the detection, or is it typically?
Not typically.
Okay.
Not typically.
Yeah.
It's not the guy writing the virus. It's selling the antivirus
Yeah.
software.
No,
not-
some entrepreneur.
Yeah.
looking for it all.
Typically, you don't see both sides on the same
Yeah.
site.
But you can go on Amazon or different sites and probably pick up a lot of these things.
Absolutely. And we like picking them up, testing them, and just educating on what to look for in the wild. Because these devices are in the wild. They're absolutely in the wild. This is not wishful thinking. It is there.
And a big difference between these detection devices and stuff that, let's say, your company would have is probably more sophisticated, obviously, where you're not have to be on top of it. Maybe it'll just tell you that somewhere in this room or this
Better
vicinity.
filtering. We have the ability. Typically, that equipment's going to be used for conference rooms, executive offices. We have the ability to monitor a meeting to see if there's any illicit transmissions going on during a meeting. We may come in and sweep this room and then take a baseline reading so we know what this room looks like from an RF standpoint. And then during the meeting, run the same baseline and compare the two. The sophisticated equipment has far more features and weeks of training to get where we need to go. But
what interested you in? You said in college you took some. What your background?
I grew up in a house of electronics. My dad actually worked. He built a lot of circuits from scratch, and some of it was working with law enforcement, building surveillance type devices. So I've got a very strong IT background. So a lot of these devices ride on the IT network. They're either plugged into the internet or they're Wi-Fi devices, things of that nature. So strong background in RF. I've been a ham radio operator since I was in high school. And it's interesting. Even in high school, I was doing direction finding for local law enforcement and in EMS outside environments. This is all inside environments. So it's all the same stuff. Energy hasn't changed since day one. You can't change physics, right? So it's having an understanding of RF and how these things work. Business on.
Totally off topic because you said ham radio.
Yes.
Baofeng radios?
Terrible. The newer ones are really good, but you take the older Baofengs and you put them on a spectrum analyzer we've got and harmonics. So you have a baseline frequency, then you have other frequencies that's still transmitting on both things. Was terrible about that. But as a scanner and receiving device, it's phenomenal. And like I say, the newer transmitters are really good too.
I know there's a lot of talks in like your I want to say like your militia groups and
Yep.
some of your sovereign citizen circles and some of just, average citizens like, hey, I just want to have communication point to point. Like,
Right.
can I do that legally? Right. And
Right.
is the federal government tracking me that where I'm going to have like a license to be able to,
Right.
transmit?
Well, during an emergency, the answer is no, in my opinion. My opinion. But GMRS is a good thing to look into if you don't want to really have to study for a license.
Yeah.
But I encourage anyone to get their ham radio license. It's every major city's got a club. Join the club. They've got classes, and within a couple of weeks, you can get your license. And there's a whole world. All this and more. I mean, satellite communications. Talk to the space shuttle back in the day. The space station today, they're actually transmitting pictures down from the space station that ham radio operators are collecting right now.
That's neat.
There's a whole world out there in the RF side. So, Baofeng's been around several years now, and they had a really bad reputation to begin with, but it's not too bad today.
Well, I've learned a lot. This is fascinating. I know that you have a company to do this, but the average consumer, is it easier to contact, obviously a CEO or depending on the level of concern, you have a, ex parte order on somebody and you think they're stalking you, but I don't know, just give me some things to think about. Like when I travel, I'm in a hotel room, but like the average consumer, like what do you see them, or even a police officer? Do you see a police officer carrying any of these things? The thermo. Okay. So if a police department had an end of the year budget, this would not be a bad idea.
It wouldn't be a bad idea at all. Close in your pocket. The app on your phone, it's free.
AirGuard.
I love AirGuard. When I did my public talks, and we're getting ready to do a couple coming up. We're actually going to have everybody download AirGuard in the room, and we'll put out a couple devices during my talk, and you go find the device afterwards. It's that simple to use.
I'm kind of thinking like with a thermal though, like it's very inexpensive, but
Very inexpensive.
you have to understand the application. Because I think about even like when we had fire service, right? You have a carbon monoxide alarm and you want to detect it, but what's the first thing everybody does? They open the windows.
Right.
Now, how do you find that?
Right.
The source, right? So same thing. If police aren't going to use this, realize how you're going to apply it, right? Because like you probably want a cold environment so you can find the heat source.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to your question, I think thermal is number one. Free apps, number one. These types of things get kind of gimmicky. They do work in the right environments. This is probably another step up that's on the Bluetooth tracking side, because how do you know if you're looking for Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or something else? There's Zigbee, there's Z-Wave, there's all these protocols out there that the general public just doesn't really know about. So again, the high-end equipment searches for all of it. These are very specific, very focused devices looking for one thing and one thing only. Physical search, though.
Yeah.
Look at your environment. Know what your environment should be. If there's something strange in your environment, question it. Unplug it. Get rid of it.
Change your Wi-Fi password every so
Absolutely.
often. The young parents, baby monitors, things like that. Make sure you're
sure
not
they're
buying a $20, trying to save a few bucks.
And don't buy it. Don't buy it off Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Okay, supply chain is another big one in my book.
Yeah. It's a good point.
We didn't talk about this, but this looks like an Ethernet cable. It's a listing device. If you go into, it's like a OMG cable. It's like this USB cable we talked about.
Yeah.
If you buy this in a legitimate location like the Apple Store,
you should be getting something legitimate.
You're getting something legitimate. If I buy this off of Amazon, that's a problem. We talked about robot vacuum cleaners a while ago. Don't buy a robot vacuum cleaner off Marketplace, because the bad guy bought it from Amazon, modified it. He's now going to sell it. And as soon as you plug it in, you're talking to his servers and not the manufacturer servers. So supply chain is huge in my book right now. Know where your stuff came from. If it's your personal stuff, spend a little extra money and buy it from credible sources.
That's great advice. This is all fascinating.
Yeah. Well,
awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for everyone's time. And I guess we'll link in your information at the end of the video. So should law enforcement have any questions, right? Like it's good to have kind of an expert to bounce things off of, right? So,
you'll have my phone number. It's on 24/7. Talk is cheap. And call me if you have a question. I've got no problems talking through. I was on the phone for an hour last night with some folks out of California. They had a signal that they saw at 700 meg they were looking for, and I didn't have all the answers for them. I gave them some places to look. So, but you know, probably from the law enforcement standpoint, the most interest, if you will, that we get is tracking devices in cars, GPS trackers, air tags. How do I find them? And it really comes down to the free apps and physical search.
Good physical searches all the time.
All right. Any closing thoughts?
No, I'm still blown away by this. When we turn this off, I want to play with these things.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and check the video afterwards if you need contact information and want to know more about the surveillance or counter surveillance world. And we will see you next time.